So there was a time when I genuinely considered myself to be in the top 1% of Counter-Strike players in terms of aim. And I frequently talk about how good I used to be now. And I'll play games and I'll do absolutely terrible. And then I'll just kind of shrug it off and say, oh, well, I used to be good, so I play this way and I'm not going to do anything about it. But I decided the other day that I was kind of sick and tired of just being complacent with the fact that I was once good at this game. And I was going to try to do something about it. And I was going to put in the work and try to actually recover that, at least some of that ability, and get back to being good at these games. Now, I know I won't be able to get back to being as good as I was before because at that point in time, I was playing Counter-Strike for upwards of 10 hours a day on average. And I'm an adult now. I don't have that kind of time. But I do have some time. And I think I have more than enough time to put in the minimum that's required to get back to a level where I can hop back into a bronze lobby in Valorant. Or a 10k elo server in CSGO or CS2. And just rely through aim alone, you know, to be at the top of the scoreboard every match. So I've started a routine where every day I log into the aimbot's workshop map. And I grab an M4A4 and I look up here and I disable the farthest distance, because at that point the weapon inaccuracy becomes a factor and that doesn't really matter for my training. And I'll hit start and just start shooting. Now, when you just hit start in the aimbot's map, it starts a timer, and what it does is it records how long it takes you to get to 100 kills. And for me personally, it's important to be able to judge my own performance with numbers. So having this timer here that will tell me how I'm doing day to day is really important for me personally. So once I've completed that, I'll grab a Desert Eagle and I'll repeat the same process. The Desert Eagle is a completely different beast from the M4A4 because it punishes you for missing. Now with the M4A4, if you miss a shot, you can adjust and shoot again. With the Desert Eagle, if you miss a shot, it's going to be a while before your accuracy resets, so you have to be patient, and you really get penalized for missing. So once I've completed that with the Desert Eagle, I'll pick up a USP and do the exact same thing once more. I like the USP because it's accurate for a pistol, and as a pistol, you get one shot, you can't spray or burst. So the M4A4 is kind of forgiving. Sometimes, you know, you may be aiming a little bit to the lower left, for example, and your second shot will go slightly up and to the right and hit the enemy. But with the USP, you get one shot, so if you miss, you miss. Now, once I've finished with all of those, I'll pop in here, headshot only, set the movement to setting 5, reduce the number of bots to 5, and then turn on the peak spray walls. And this is the challenge that I've come up with to practice functional aim, that is, including things like timing, tracking, and reactions. So when I'm doing this exercise, there's a few different ways I can do it. I can watch a corner and wait for an enemy to pop around it and try to react to that. I can give them some space and then work on my timing and only clicking and shooting when they run into the crosshair. Or I can sit there and I can try to follow the enemies around and track their movements. And this exercise seems simple enough, but for me at least, I find it to be a challenge. Currently for me, for a typical run with an M4A4 using this exercise, it will take me about 4 minutes or so to get 100 kills. Now sometimes if I'm having a really good day, I can get that down as low as 3.5 or even less. And if I'm having a bad day, that'll go upwards of 5 minutes. Now, as you can see, this particular run wasn't a very good run. Once I'm finished with that, with the M4A4, I'll pull out my USP again, and start over. Again, using the USP means that you only get one shot. So you can't get bailed out by, you know, your second or third shot of a burst like you can with the M4A4. Now with the USP, this exercise usually takes me around 5 minutes, so about a minute or so longer than with the M4A4. I think my personal best at this point is 4 minutes and 20 seconds. But if I'm having a really off day, then it may take me closer to 7 minutes. Now at this point I will have at least 500 kills across these different exercises, and if I'm just trying to warm up at the beginning of a day before a match, then this is where I'll end it. But if I'm not planning on playing any matches and I'm just doing some training on a given day, then I'll sit here usually and go to 1,000 through whatever different settings that I feel like doing. So sometimes I'll repeat this exercise with the Desert Eagle, in which case I'll be usually sitting here for at least, you know, 6 minutes or so. Sometimes I will put the walls down and disable one side and just do the regular exercise back and forth. I'll try going in different directions, you know, just various other exercises, and that I kind of leave it free and open. But I do try to get at least 1,000 kills in here if I am doing this for training. Now, on those training days, after those 500 kills or after 1,000 kills, I'll hop into a 1v1 server, if I can find one that's open and running with players in it. Community servers these days apparently have been more or less killed by CS2, so there's only one 1v1 server that I've been able to find that actually has players and has multiple maps and has reasonable ping for me. And 1v1 servers essentially are just plain aim training. You know, you hop in a map with one other person and you just face off against them.
Let's move out.
Okay.
You're fucking cheating. Fuck you.
And I find that to be really the best practical training for aim. So that's kind of the meat of my night. If I'm just hopping on for practice and not playing any games, I'll spend oftentimes upwards of an hour, you know, in one of those servers. But regardless of what I do, before I leave for a given night, I'll reset everything back down to the way that it was. And I will repeat the regular exercise one more time with the M4A4 and at least one of the pistols, Desert Eagle, or the USPS. So this is what I've committed to doing every single day from now on, with the exception of, you know, if I'm going on vacation or something like that. But I make sure to at least get to those 1,000 kills in aimbots every single day. And that, I think, hopefully will be enough to eventually get me to a point where I'll be able to start shitting on people again.